What's up guys, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to Up On It Careers. I am Charlene. So today's video is a really interesting and special one because I'm speaking to my friends. So I have a group chat and that is where I do all of my moaning when it comes to different things. We talk politics, we talk social media, we talk work, we talk life, we talk relationships. And you know, I have a few group chats, but this is one of my favorites. All of them have great views and make me think. Some people are not comfortable sharing their lives publicly, which is absolutely fine, but I did manage to convince a few of them to do that. So we're going to be going through a few topics. First one is more based around education, so hopefully you guys enjoy it.
In this essay,
Is that Ribena? Are you on the rosé already?
Oh no, this is Ribena. This is look at
Wait, should I change my name because it's got my full government?
Yeah, just put Jackie.
How do I change this?
I can't ever describe my sector.
Like those are the black students sitting together when there was like 220 award for most improved behaviour. I said, improved for what? I'm a nice girl. Like, what are you talking about? Because I came from Leytonstone. So yeah, there is an aspect. So you have to be very intentional about deciding who you are.
I'm not doing that, Charlotte. I don't remember that.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's session, I have got some members of the GC, of the group chat, and obviously these are people that we like, you know, we talk about all manner of things. So let's do a quick fire introduction. I just want to say that, you know, first of all, this is not everybody in the group chat. You know, these are some of the comments.
we have more friends.
We do. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself.
I'm Jackie and I work in education. So I work at a university here in London. On the side, I'm more into filmmaking, documentary filmmaking, but that's another Zoom for another day. So
Director. Cool. And then we'll go down to Mel.
I can't ever describe my sector. My sector is not finance, but it's not regulations either. It's not. When Jackie was speaking, I was like, I need to think of what you're going to say, but I couldn't think of anything.
My girl Angela, she wants to MI5.
So
it's I'll say financial complaints, but that just sounds
compliance. Is it compliance? Is it compliance related? Would you say compliance?
But not quite.
Okay.
Don't just stop laughing at me. This is a dilemma. Can I?
Elle doesn't know where she works, but she has a great job. She doesn't know where she works. Joseph.
I love you guys so much. We need to do this face to face. We're from the same household. Hi everyone, I'm Joseph and I work in brand and sponsorship. In terms of interests I have on the side, I don't have many. Oh, I'm obsessed with Judge Judy. That's my guilty pleasure.
Oh, that's
I studied law. This is our thing. But yeah, that's my guilty pleasure. But yeah, brand and sponsorship.
Okay, we love to hear about it. So,
did that throw you off, Shah? You
No, just to give some background, we all went to the same university and we all did law as undergraduates.
Oh my gosh, we did.
Some of us enjoyed it more than others. Some of us did better than others. Let's kick off. So obviously it's Black History Month. We're all black. Surprise. And so wanted to just have some discussions. Obviously all of these are not going to be specifically always based on you being black, but just our experiences as we've navigated education and careers. So let's kick off the first bit. Education while black. So what were some of you guys' experiences at school or university, obviously where you grew up and how you grew up? What was that like being in education? Let's start with Joseph.
Okay. So I grew up in Shooters Hill in Woolwich, which is right next to, it's about 5 minutes away from where Stephen Lawrence was killed in 1992. So the area in which I grew up in was very racist, but it was surrounded by a lot of black areas. So Lewisham, Kidbrook, all these areas. As a result, it was like almost like a melting pot of cultures, of different viewpoints and so forth. So being at secondary school, it was very diverse in terms of mix. It's probably about 50-50 in terms of white and then other minorities. But then I do remember just being in secondary school and for part of the Black Boys, as you have it. And one day, one of our teachers, our science teacher, held us all back, and he just said, "Look, I've held you all back because you're all Black." And he said that, and he said the problem that happens is that when Black boys get into secondary school, in year 7, they are the highest achievers. By year 11, they're the lowest achievers. And he said that for whatever reason, this happens and it's a pattern. And if we don't address it, you're going to be a part of the statistic. And he's a white man. But so when he said that, like, we all respected him so much. And he spent the rest of his time trying to ensure that we are the best that we can be. And we're not caught up in the hype. We're not taking that for all of the stereotypes that are put upon us. Did it help? It helped me. I don't know about the rest of my friends, but I think that was a moment when I realised, actually, yes, we all have the same opportunity, but we're not all working from the same starting point.
Interesting that he did that, and actually that you felt that was positive. Some people would definitely not have reacted to it as well. Mel, let's move over to you. Was if you had I feel like you said a story about this, having a similar teacher in your school, right?
Yeah, we did, but I wasn't involved in that conversation. Again, they held back the Black boys. That was in secondary school. There were certain Black boys that they held back, and it was again a white teacher, a white female teacher. And she was lovely. I have a lot of respect for her, and she was just very real about the realities of being a Black boy in the school system. And she was like, it was a day when that class happened to have a lot of Black boys in it, and there was a lot of talking, just as normal children do. It was just really disruptive. And she was just like, I've got the patience for you lot, and I want you lot to do well, and I'm telling you that not everyone has this, essentially, and you've got to work hard, you've got to want it, because certain people are going to push you for it. I went to primary school and secondary school in Tottenham. So Black people, Turkish people, BAME people in general were the majority in both primary school and secondary school.
Got like gang signs.
I'm not doing that, Shah. I don't remember that. That was a different part of Tottenham. Though, one thing that there was an interaction that happened at secondary, like I've always been quite good educationally. Well, that stops probably around college levels, but primary school, secondary school, I was always one of the high attainers. So I always felt like teachers, I was fine with teachers, but I noticed that a lot of the Black students, particularly the Black boys, the ones that might be a bit more talkative, they were often, like when you do like the streamlining, I think that happens around year 8, year 9, they were purposely put down as lower. And I know a lot of examples, both when I was at school and friends that I've spoken to, where they were put down for lower papers just because of their attitudes or the way in which the teachers perceived them. And the only ones that got put forward for the higher papers is when there were parent involvement. So I think a massive thing is when your parents are on it. If parents are not on it, the teachers and a lot of times do take advantage. And then parents' evening, when my dad came in to speak to my form tutor in it was in secondary school. And my form tutor said that me and one of my other friends was bullying another girl. And I thought that was so weird because she's never said anything to me. I'm not a bully. I've never been a bully. And me and my friend, like that friendship group of those 3 girls, like we were just very boisterous. One of them ones that you just found out, like between all 3 of you. But it's me and a mixed race girl who were bigger physically than a white girl. She was actually, her mum was actually mixed, but she looked like a small, petite, young white girl. And she was gobbiest out of all 3 of us. She was probably the gobbiest. And when the teacher accused me of bullying her, I thought that was just so weird. The fact that she never felt the need, if you genuinely thought we were bullying her, you should have pulled me up on it beforehand. That was never done. And the first time he's done it was when my dad was there. But my dad didn't even have to ask me. My dad knows what kind of person I am. He's like, my daughter's not a bully. And he was just like, the way he kicked off on that teacher was just like, say, how dare you even accuse my daughter of it? Yeah. But I know that there's some parents that, one, don't even turn up to parents' evening, both primary school and secondary school, and 2, that just believe the teachers. Yeah. What I've noticed with the schooling system, the parent involvement makes a massive impact on how the teachers respond to you as a student.
Good point. Jackie, what about you?
With primary school, I went to a primary school in Essex, so that was predominantly white. I think in my class, I was one of 3 Black girls, which is actually pretty good. It could have been just me. So I think while in primary school, I was very much aware that I was a minority, but I'm not sure how that reflected in like the way I was being taught. I think in primary school, I'm not so much aware.
Yeah.
In secondary school, I went to secondary school in East London, and that was predominantly Asian and Black. Like, I think similarly to Malaysia, white people were the minority there. It was pretty much Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Indian, and then Afro-Caribbean people. And all the Black girls I was friends with, they were super bright and excellent. So they were always in like the top sets. But I do agree with what Joseph and Melisha have said about the way those like Black guys are organized in classes. They do tend to be into the lower sets. And I think they just kind of, because they've been placed that way, they feed into that mentality that like school it's not a big deal. So I saw very few Black guys like excelling really well in secondary school. And so when it came to sixth form, like all of the Black guys left our school. Like our sixth form was known as one of the best in the area, but all of them left and went to college. Some of them went to really good colleges, but most of them just left. And all of the Black girls, we all stayed, and we all got triple A's. We all got AAB and went on to like good unis, but I think we were automatically like typecasted because we were all friends, and we were allowed as being like the mean girl. Like, you don't even know she's actually really intelligent and really smart. And just because, she gels her hair down to the nines doesn't mean like, that she isn't. And so, there was definitely a typecasting.
Because we've all said quite similar things in terms of almost people telling us who we are before we've kind of formed our own personalities, or people kind of deciding who we are. Because I've had that. I had East London, grew up in East London, then went to the complete opposing school and went to like a really, really, white school in Essex, and then a predominantly white university. And when we were in East London going into Essex, the same thing, when I joined my school, they had already decided that I was a girl from East London, and so this is how I must be. Like, if you know me, even when I was in East London, there's two types of girls in East London: the ones who start the trouble and the ones who are friends with everyone because they don't want to get in trouble. I was the one who was friends with everyone because they don't want to get in trouble. So I was like, when people started telling you like this is, they gave me an award for most improved behaviour. I said, improved from what? I'm a nice girl. Like, what are you talking about? Because I came from Leytonstone. So yeah, there is an aspect. So you have to be very intentional about deciding who you are. Unfortunately, quite early on, otherwise people definitely put their projections of who you are on you. So
I think we've spoken about it very much from a secondary school perspective, but I think it happens a lot with young Black boys from a much younger age, and I'm talking young, like 5, 6, that have been labelled as troublesome, as temper issues, as anger issues,
anger management.
So like a lot have. I think young Black girls are more seen as like sassy, and that can maybe grow up into the mean girl in secondary school. The teachers don't replicate that. They don't. They're not in the same image at all.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Just on that point, I've recently watched a study in America, and they had 4 kids who were all 6 or 7 years old. Had 7 teachers on computers, and they just said they had them in a circle.
I've seen this.
Yeah, and they were playing a thing with sand, and they said that look out for the kid that misbehaves. Now, unbeknownst to the teachers, all the students weren't going to misbehave at all. What they were doing, they were tracking where the teacher's eyes were on. Yeah. And for the most part, it was on the little Black boy. It's like a pre-programmed, preconceived idea of always a Black boy is likely going to be in trouble. And that's not limited to school. That's also in our cultures, in terms of music, in terms of film, in terms of the narrative on newspapers and so forth. So you can imagine when, Charlene, you mentioned a point about it's interesting that we're told about our experiences before we have them. I think some people are able to identify that actually 9 out of 10 times your experience is going to be a toxic one. So I want to help you and I want to equip you and let you know it's not going to be fair. So as a result, this is what you need to do. Yeah, I think there's a balancing act there, but it's worth noting as well.
Yeah, I definitely think we need more diversity of teachers. I think that hopefully will be at least a starting point. If I know I can relate to you, I know that if you're talking a certain way, and I know that it's nothing, you don't have an attitude. That's the big thing with like Black students, isn't it? Like especially females, well, the males you're aggressive, the girls have an attitude. Meanwhile, you're probably just like passionate. We should call them leaders. We should teach them how to communicate effectively, but instead, you know, you're labeled that, you know, you're that. So I think that's a good starting point as well. And even when we were at uni, do you remember there used to be about 250 students in our law class? We would have a group of our friends would sit together and they'd call us ACAS row or ACS row. And it was like those are the black students sitting together when there was like 220
all the white students
sitting together, and it was together friends, and we were the ones that had the focus and the attention. So it is interesting to see. Okay, now moving on to talking about Black at Work. So
thank you guys so much for tuning in and for watching us. As always, please hit me up at stayinguponit@gmail.com for questions. Go on my website, uponitcareers.com, for blogs and all my video content. Follow me on social media at uponitcareers for everything. And I'll try and support you the best way that I can.